Hello, so in this video I'm going to take a look at what probably inspired the ECBA, the Enhanced Combat Body Armour in British Army Service, and it's the old Northern Ireland Mark II body armour. Now I don't have any of the filler or plates for it, but the cover should give you a good enough idea. So early when all the troubles are going on in Northern Ireland, standard British sort of armour was a flak jacket. And that means it was basically a ballistic nylon flak jacket, similar to the US Vietnam one. I've got a video on it if you're interested. So it's basically exactly like a US Vietnamese, US and Vietnam style flak jacket. It's very bulky. It's not very good protection for its weight. Obviously, it's much better than having no armour on if there's shrapnel flying about and whatever. But compared to modern body armour, it's not very good just in terms of weight to protection factor. So it turns out later on during the Northern Ireland stuff, they did come up with an improved body armour type design. And that's this. So what you have here is you'd have your Kevlar filler inside this thing rather than ballistic nylon. And then you have a front pocket and a rear pocket, just like the ECBA, for a plate. Now, these are much smaller plates in here than what the ECBA uses, and there's a very easy way to demonstrate that. There's that plate pocket, there's an ECBA plate. So as you can see, that won't fit an ECBA plate. You can actually fit one in if you undo those zips there, but that's not what that's designed for. I think that's just like a storage pocket behind there. So you can see quite easily how that, obviously, I think inspired the ECBA, because both of them are pretty much the same thing. As in, I've got the plate out of there at the moment that's in the back panel. But in the front, obviously, you have got your front panel plate there. And they're pretty much in the same place on both jackets, as you can see. The idea is that they cover your heart. I suppose that one's only really going to cover your heart, not much else with this smaller one. The ECBA's job is basically to cover your heart and at least one of your lungs. But yeah, I just thought this was quite an interesting thing, because this is one of those jackets you hear mentioned quite a bit and never really see, but it seems now at least a lot of the liners for them are turning up on eBay. So again, it is basically an ECBA, in a sense. You'd have your soft Kevlar filler in there, and then you'd have your panels in there. So it's basically the exact same layout, it's just smaller panels. The only real difference is that there's those two zips there. Now, the weird thing is, the ECBA was not the armour that came after this one. There was one that came between these two, which was an ECBA without plates, as far as I'm aware. Or if there were plates in it, they'd have been the smaller size one. So, why the ECBA is Enhanced Combat Body Armour. The one before that was known as just CBA, not Can't Be Asked, but Combat Body Armour, and I think it had a name something like Mark I Body Armour something or other. You can find it under whatever that name is, but I can't remember it off the top of my head. And it looks exactly like an ECBA, but on the front, rather than having the big panel pocket, you've got a couple of smaller pockets. So whether or not there was a smaller plate that could go in one of those, I don't know. But generally when you see pictures of them in use, the pockets always look empty. So I'm assuming it was just for magazines or, random stuff, essentially, those pockets, rather than being for an armour plate. But, looking at the size of that plate, I could actually imagine now that the first generation of ECBA might have been able to have one of those plates in one of the pockets. But you can see, if you see a picture of it next to the ECBA, that the panel is a lot smaller than that. So again, these aren't particularly big panels anyway. What I will just get to show you, because it's handy, is that French armour I was on about the other week. Just to show you a comparison between the plate pocket size on that and that one. So that gives you an idea of just how much bigger this panel would be than an ECBA. Because obviously, you could fit about the size of 2 ECBAs or 3 ECBA plates. But yeah, much bigger pocket on there. But see, that's a smaller pocket than what the ECBA would be. But yeah, so the ECBA is basically the size of roughly that sort of utility pocket on it. So yeah, that French armour definitely had a bigger panel in the front than the ECBA did. The ECBA is obviously that size. But yeah, it's just an interesting thing with all these vests. Like I said before, you came up with standard sort of plate carrier type designs, as we know them today, as I was saying, that French one. Or the sort of things, where you essentially just had a Kevlar vest where you got gradually bigger and bigger sort of plates sitting in pockets in them. But yeah, I just thought this was interesting, because it's that weird thing of, this armour is obviously what inspired this armour, but it's a bit weird that there was a gap in the middle where, as far as I'm aware, it didn't take plates, or if it did, it was very, very small plates. Obviously, the ECBA was originally in woodland and desert DPM before they made the modern lot of them in MTP. And now you're seeing most of these in Ukraine because the MOD is eventually getting rid of all these from service. They're only really used as a reserve thing now. They've been on the surplus market for years, but generally it's quite hard to find the fillers and the plates for them because, obviously the MOD likes to hang on to their armour. So, but you are seeing these turn up a lot in Ukraine now, which I guess is either privately being bought and sent over, or just the MOD donating a lot of them, like they've been donating helmets and whatever else of the old army stock that we're meant to be upgrading, like, reserve stuff, basically. So, there you go. The Northern Ireland armour is basically, as I said, the ECBA. You can definitely see the comparison between the two. You've got your front and back pocket with a Kevlar filler, pretty much covers the exact same bits of your body, just a smaller plate pocket.